Episode 2.
Episode 2. So good.
Oh.
Horrifically short.
See, now that you've said it was horrifically short, I hadn't really noticed that it was. I guess in the moment of watching it, I hadn't kind of felt like it was short, but I definitely
pacing was brilliant.
Finished it probably being like, oh, I could have watched more.
Yeah, the pacing was brilliant. So as long as there isn't something in the next episode that makes me go, that would have made more sense in the last episode, and as long as I don't watch the entire thing feeling like nothing's happened, it's not a problem. But once you take out the credits and the opening bit where they replayed a bit of last week's episode, actual runtime of new content is like 22 minutes.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like I said, it didn't feel bad. It all made sense. Nothing moved too fast or anything. I just, as we've already discussed, I devour content.
Want more.
So I wanted more.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I think probably more so with this show is because of how we've got used to slightly longer episodes from the other shows. But like you said, it didn't feel like anything was cut short. It did, to me, it felt like where they ended the episode was a good cut-off point for what had happened in the episode. So it doesn't feel 100%. Like they've cut anything short. It doesn't feel like they've tried to cram too much in. As long as, like you said, the pacing stays like this consistent, and there isn't an issue of like towards the end they cram too much in because they did shorter episodes, so they haven't fit everything properly.
Exactly. But
we have more episodes, so hopefully it kind of balances and it's all okay. But yeah, I thought this episode was great. The little flashback at the beginning was like,
it was unnecessary.
Yeah,
I get why they do it. It's unnecessary.
I don't know if it's just a one-off for this one because it was the first episode last week, and just like as long as they don't keep doing that, or if they're gonna do that, do the like usual recaps that you can usually skip.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. If they want to do that, that's fine, but give me the option to fucking skip it.
Yeah,
instead of me on my phone on my lunch break pressing 10 seconds forward to see if I'm at new stuff yet.
Yeah, do what like most shows online do, and it's like previously on She-Hulk,
and then you just go boop.
Skip this bit, and it skips to the start of the episode.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I thought there was a lot of funny moments in this week's episode.
Yeah. It do you know what it is? A lot of people, and I get it, have been moaning about like Marvel's comedy style.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's because Marvel's got to the point now where it's popular to hate it because it's so popular.
Yeah.
But a lot of people like go, oh, I can't wait for Daredevil to go up and get hit and go, oh, I didn't see that come in, because they think that's Marvel's style of comedy. I'm hoping this show has proved that Marvel don't just make really dumb, obvious jokes.
No.
I wouldn't say this show so far has had like an actual joke per se with a punchline, whereas it's had things that you look at and you go, that's funny.
Yeah, they've done it through like funny situations and how sitcoms are done, which is like relatable, funny moments.
Exactly. I enjoyed that moment where they're in the bar and she's like, yeah, this has all gone great, fantastic. Then you have her boss come over and ask her to shrink down, and this is really nice attention to detail. She shrinks down, but because of all the alcohol she's been drinking as She-Hulk, she's now
instantly hits
out of it. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I loved the whole. She was gonna go in normal, and then she was like, then everyone wanted She-Hulk, so she went in as She-Hulk. And then yeah, the whole thing of like, we need to have a serious talk from a boss. She's like, oh, okay, and I think the viewers knew where this is going, and it's that whole like, she's so drunk, and it's like, it was funny because it's like no boss would like. This is like as a boss, you should know this is like the worst way to tell someone they're fired.
Let's just break it down logically here. You're about to tell your employee, who is now drunk as fuck and has the ability to rip you in half easily, that you're firing them for saving people's lives.
Yeah, for doing the right thing. And it was so funny.
And here's
She
the
was
thing:
so
it's not even like
drunk.
subjectively the right thing. It is objectively the right thing to do.
It was,
Yes, you had to stop people getting hurt and possibly really badly hurt.
and it also was like strangely relatable from her point of view because like we've been people, at least legally, people that can have probably been drunk of some state similar to that. And when someone's talking to you, you're just like not really processing what they're saying. And then suddenly, like, sobered her up so quick when she was like, "Oh, I'm fired," and you could see that, like, oh, that's just sobered her way the fuck up.
Yeah.
And then obviously going through all the job, like the quick thing of doing all the job interviews.
Yeah, I enjoyed that kind of microcosm because here's the thing, and it makes me laugh even more when you see some of the bigoted opinions people have about Marvel stories. It makes me laugh when you really break it down. Comics are, for the most part, a very liberal and left wing media.
Yeah.
Because comics are designed for younger people. And don't get me wrong, if you fall in love with it when you're younger, you're not going to stop as you get older. No. But their target audience and who they're trying to get is the young people, and they're hoping they'll retain some of them young people as they grow up. And as a result of that, it is more left leaning. Just so, like, when people are really bigoted about the X-Men, it always makes me laugh because the X-Men are literally just like Spider-Man is in the full costume because he can be anyone. The X-Men are just every minority ever. That's their whole stick. They're treated like shit. Therefore, the reason they're so popular is because every minority in the world can find resonance with the X-Men.
Yeah.
So, like that interview where she's getting told no because of the most ridiculous thing that's out of her control is probably what it feels like to be a minority or a lady going for a job in a very white, very male corporate world.
Especially in law as well.
Exactly. Can you think of more of a boys' club than law in fucking LA?
Politics would be the only other thing.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So that whole scene and depicting that, I think, was unknowingly to probably a lot of people who just saw it as like, oh, she's going through like a struggle now getting a job. This is changed. Her finally revealing it has changed things exactly like Bruce said it would change things, and she didn't control the situation of. She didn't get. People will be looking at it going, look, Bruce was right. Like, the last thing you want is to not have control of the situation when you do reveal it, because then you might not be able to control how people perceive you.
Yeah.
And while she, obviously, unlike the way Bruce and his like first moments of being the Hulk, she's definitely like it was definitely put there that she did the right thing, and everyone realizes she did the right thing, and she's liked, and everyone loves her. But yeah, you can't work for us anymore. Typical fucking lawyer thing. It's like, oh, you jury's just going to be too biased to you now because you're a superhero. And it's like, well, superheroes are pretty common by this point. But then the family scene was great.
The family scene was phenomenal.
I found that hilarious.
Especially when she's starting to zone out, you can just hear all the voicing. You hear her mum go, yeah, but it's not like Bruce who saved billions of people. It's like she's a superhero and she's still getting ragged on for not saving the entire universe. Oh, you only saved 12 billion. Bruce saved like half the universe.
It was just a way of like a typical family thing of knowing you have to go to this and you're like, oh, I'm going to get asked about my job, about all sorts of what's going on. And you walk in and it's like the younger cousin just blurts out the most awkward thing. And then, yeah, it's just.
We've all had that family dinner after something bad has happened. And everyone knows, but no one wants to bring it up. And you don't want to talk about it, but everyone has questions.
Yeah. Typical sort of like sly comments as well from other family members. Like everyone's been there and relates to it. And it's like that being so relatable is what made it's so funny.
Exactly. Not actual jokes, rather a situation that everyone's been
Yeah.
in and can go, yeah, it's so uncomfortable.
And it was like such a classic like sitcom situation as well.
Exactly.
Just adds to the thing. I also love the when she's going through that whole like job interview and there's like different audio going on. There's a bit where it's like Bruce has rung her and left a voicemail. And it's like, I'm here if you still want to talk about things. I promise I won't gloat. Okay, maybe I'll gloat a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like that typical older brother, younger brother, cousin sort of vibes that they have going.
But it's really interesting because it also showed that Bruce had complete faith that it was going to work itself out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like he trusted. Like it showed that at the end of the day, like he wanted to glow a bit, but he knew things would be fine.
Yeah. And then we also got obviously the phone call a little bit later after she got her job.
Yes.
So she got her job. She found out that actually they wanted She-Hulk, not her.
Yeah.
She found out that her first client was going to be Emil Blonsky or the Abomination. And if she didn't say yes, she didn't have a job.
Yeah.
What did you think of their meeting?
What, her and Abomination?
Blonsky.
It was not what I expected.
What were you expecting him to still be quite aggressive?
I don't know if I expected him to be quite aggressive, but I expected him to be more like soldier-esque. Like not
I think they also explained why he wasn't soldier-esque really well.
Yeah, no,
with
like,
the whole "I got fucking betrayed by the
oh,
army."
Oh yeah, like the whole way that he was portrayed made perfect sense and worked perfectly. I think when you first like, I'm like, oh, we're gonna see Abomination, and I know from the trailers he's in human form. I'm like, oh, he's gonna, I don't know. Going off what we know from previous films, like you go in with the idea that he's probably not going to be trustworthy, and it's like going to be some. Though we know that he's friendly with Wong, which we obviously find out where that lines up later. But yeah, I actually thought the way that they portrayed how he's reformed made total sense. I definitely don't trust him though. There's something going on. The whole some associates are going to give me a ton of land when I get out of here. So who are these associates?
You know what I think it is?
Go on.
I think, well, we know Thunderbolts is coming. He is an obvious choice to be on the Thunderbolts team.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's been approached about the Thunderbolts and doesn't want to do it because it's working for the government again.
Yeah.
So he's gone, fuck it, I need to try and get out of here. So I do think he's genuinely changed and he has no intention to hurt anyone. But I don't think he's all namaste and calm. He's just trying to seem like he's like this monk now so that he can get parole, so that he can just go live and not be disturbed.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want his only option of getting out of prison to be becoming a Thunderbolt.
I get you. Yeah, I don't want to be tied into that again.
And I think that's going to end up being the outcome anyway.
Yes, or...
Which is... Are you ready?
Okay.
We're going to have to jump a little bit here, guys. I'm sorry if... I mean, I'm hoping you guys have seen the episode anyway. Obviously, in the post-credit scene... No, not post-credit scene. Right at the end of the episode...
Yeah.
We see the footage is leaked of him and Wong at the Underground Fight Club.
Yeah.
Now, we know from Shang-Chi that yes, they were fighting there, but they went back together.
Yeah.
And we saw his prison cell in the background.
Yeah.
I am convinced that was the Thunderbolts letting him out and going, oh, it's fine, don't worry. And then when they found out he's trying to get parole normally so that he doesn't have to be a Thunderbolt, they've leaked the footage to guarantee that he doesn't get parole.
Possibly. So I was thinking, because yes, the Fight Club isn't 10 rings, because at that time of the Fight Club, it's Shang-Chi's sister, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if there's obviously, I wonder if the whole like land that he was promised and stuff was through that.
Oh, maybe.
And like, because she obviously had a lot of sway with the Fight Club, and now we know she's going to be running the Ten Rings because of the end of Shang-Chi. Whether that was like something where Wong obviously made some deal there to be like, and was the one, oh yeah, I'll go get Abomination for a fight, sort of thing. And there's like some deals been made there. But you bringing up Thunderbolts, because I hadn't, like, that was my thought while watching it. But you bringing up Thunderbolts is also a pretty solid reason, I think, as well, as to like why the footage suddenly got leaked or came out. But also that footage in general, I think would probably circulate pretty, because it was like all youngsters at the Fight Club watching.
But so this is my next thing. We don't know how old that footage is, if that makes sense. So we don't know
True.
if straight after their meeting, like that night, he's gone out to the
True.
Fight Club, or if this happened 6 months ago and the footage has only just surfaced.
That's true.
If it happened that night, maybe it wasn't leaked by the government trying to keep him as a Thunderbolt. If it happened more than a month ago,
Then yeah, I agree.
it has to be then,
yeah.
because like you said, there's no way it wouldn't go viral instantly.
No, yeah.
Look how quickly Shang's fight went viral.
Yeah, exactly. Which is the way it was kind of explained, but obviously like we don't know the full details, and that's the point. It
If
definitely
we can
felt
get
like it
a
was
kind of timeline on how long ago Shang-Chi was, we'll have a better idea.
I think this now explains, though. I think it has just happened because I think her office that she has now at the law firm is obviously the office that we saw in the trailer of Wong entering.
Yeah.
So obviously she either gets hold of him or he goes to see her.
Yeah. And that should give us an idea on the timeline, hopefully. Yeah. Also, an interesting thing. So, I'm not sure if we've actually discussed it on here. A lot of people have been moaning for ages that the giant celestial from Eternals not being mentioned is pissing people off. They're like, why is no one talking about the giant hand coming out of the ocean?
That could have that might not have happened yet. Right?
No, but like they're talking about all the projects since Eternals. Everyone's like, why is no one talking about it?
Okay.
Not that, I mean, let's be clear. In this world, and like in the real world, how news cycles work, that would have been like one news cycle and people would have been over it.
Yeah.
A news cycle being like 2 weeks, I think it is now.
Yes.
But it was actually mentioned in She-Hulk in the background. On a TV or something, there was a news feed on the side.
Right.
And it was like, you know how like on news sometimes they have like tweets going by?
Yeah.
There was like an equivalent going, oh, I wonder if we're going to get any more information on that like statue in the ocean.
Statue in the ocean. Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's kind of what it looks like, isn't it?
Well, yeah, no, yeah.
So there you go, people. Stop moaning.
Okay, and that also gives a bit of timeline
yeah.
confirmation on things.
I'm not gonna lie, I do miss when, like, bar it being very obvious, i.e., set back in the 40s, stuff happened in order.
Yeah.
I know COVID fucked with a lot of this. It's just it'd be nice to know exactly when stuff happened.
I think as we get to the end of this phase,
that'll get tidied up a bit.
Yeah, it'll get into a more chronological timeline order of releases because things will start to matter a lot more of like and keeping people up with things. Trying to think what, but I mean her going to I liked as well when she went to the prison. The guy was like, "Oh, you can't come in like that. No powers," and it was just like they didn't give a shit that it was a Hulk, like rocking up. Like, they don't care.
No powers in the prison, please.
Which is
we have valet parking for your Iron Man armor if you would like.
Yeah, like that was interesting. I do think.
Did you see who was running the prison?
I didn't. What?
Department of Damage Control.
I think
Not Sword or Shield.
Didn't we know that though?
I don't believe so.
Because I haven't, like, even in Miss Marvel, they talked about a facility where they're holding people.
Yeah, but we didn't know they were running the prison as well.
Well, yeah, I think it was kind of like there's been mention of this
Bearing
prison.
in mind we had Sword in one division, and we're led to believe Shield kind of still exists. It seems weird to me that the Department of Damage Control is what's running the prison.
Um, I in a way
Bearing
to
in
me
mind,
it makes
Damage Control's entire
sense.
thing is just supposed to be like cleaning up and fixing cities after superhero fights. That's like their entire thing.
Yeah, but they probably don't want like Sword and Shield being like, oh, we'll use this person actually.
But it's just interesting to me.
Uh, but the I think that was fairly pretty much like how the episode went, right? So
Yeah.
also like the fact that when she talked to Bruce, because we briefly mentioned this, one, Bruce was like, oh yeah, I've already had a letter off him a few years ago and a little haiku, which like Bruce has put it behind him. Bruce is obviously fine with it.
Yeah.
But then he's on a ship going to
So this is
car.
well, I mean that's the assumption we have. But this is the big thing, and I'm going to be completely honest here because I think I was wrong.
Oh.
I've been a World War Hulk or Planet Hulk denier for a while. I thought when they went to Smart Hulk, that was it, and we were never going to get World War Hulk.
Oh.
The Sicarian spaceship causing her, Jen to get her powers, and now him in said spaceship going out to what we can only assume is Sakaar.
Mm-hmm.
And with the increasingly growing rumours that Hulk's film rights are defaulting back to Marvel and they're going to have sole ownership again.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a World War Hulk, a Planet Hulk film.
Oh, see,
and if at D23 they announce a World War Hulk film, the internet is going to fucking implode.
I'd always kind of gone off the understanding that Planet Hulk was kind of just played into Ragnarok.
Kind of.
And that
was kind of their way of getting around it, which is why when we got Smart Hulk, I was like, okay, we're definitely not going to get that anymore. Because they've kind of already done a loose bit of it.
Yeah.
And now that he's smart, the ship has kind of sailed for that. But maybe not. It would be crazy to see. It would be crazy to see. I think they could pull it off. But boy, oh boy, would it have to be rated R for it to be worth it.
Yeah, they'd have to go like full Hulk unleashed.
Mm-hmm. Give us the Hulk that the angrier is, the bigger, like you physically see him get bigger as he gets angrier, just pure unbridled fucking rage.
They'd have to, something story-wise would have to like break him to put him back into that state, I think.
Yeah, but I mean they can make it work.
Yeah, I also liked how when he was on the ship, it was like they just took the lab, like a section of his lab, and it was just inside the ship. But him not being around makes things a little bit interesting because it means
it does.
We're probably not gonna see him. We might not even hear from him again in this season of She-Hulk.
That's very possible.
And then I think the only other thing we haven't mentioned from this week's episode is the post-credit scene.
Oh, it's brilliant. It was so good.
I was cracking up at the end of it. I was like, oh yeah, the post-credit scene. There is one. And then it's literally when her dad was like, oh, I need your help with a couple of things. And they went into the garage and they were just like, he was like, oh, I just wanted to talk to you. It was definitely I was like, oh, okay, typical parent move. But also, post-credit scene is like even more typical parent scene. You do that, and then yeah, by the way, I still do need some help with some stuff.
Yeah. It was the cousin when she put the TV on the wall with like a bowl of or cake or whatever it was. She's going, oh, I could have done that.
Well, that and then the whole is. She's like, Dad, I'm glad you're staying hydrated, but is this not a bit excessive? And it's like 6 water cooler bottles. It's like, I mean, yeah, she's not wrong. But you
Yeah.
would though. Like if I was a Hulk, like my dad would be, yeah. Can you just do this? Can you lift this? Can you put this up? Can you
Yeah.
carry this?
My only genuine complaint with the entire show right now is I do wish they hadn't wussed out on her size and they'd made her bigger.
I
She's like 6'7" in the show, is like the scale they've put her to. She should be 8 foot tall.
so
At
here's
least.
here's my thing. There's feels like a couple of times,
She's felt bigger.
yeah, and I wonder if it's just
I think it's just difficult to get size consistent through CG.
yeah, and it's also like the bigger they make her in CG, it definitely makes it harder to sell the CG as like feeling plausible and realistic.
I get that, I do. But I mean, open any She-Hulk comic and she is huge and she is muscly and she is like ridiculous. The definition isn't insane enough. The size isn't big enough. I could have let them off with one, not both.
Yeah, I
They've still
still
they've still kept her like too slim.
I
She's
get
not
you.
bodybuilder enough. I
I
could get past the not being 8 foot tall
mhm.
if she was like proper V of a bodybuilder, like looks like she's gonna at any given moment start posing for Mr. Olympia. But they've not even got that. That's my only complaint. And it really sucks because everything else has been brilliant.
I do think that just comes down to potentially it's the CGI budget and like
Well, no, by the sounds of it, it's not because there was leaks coming out from the CG companies that worked on it that they kept on being told to make her smaller.
oh
So I genuinely think this is like a Marvel creative decision that I just disagree with.
fair. I also
Um,
wondered if it was like they were. Remember when the trailer came out and I said it seems like we might get her being able to be in different sizes
yeah,
depending on how hulked out she is. But yeah, it's one of them. I think maybe it's come from them being worried about trying to sell how good the CGI looks.
yeah, maybe.
So they've played it too safe by keeping her more not as on the extreme end.
But in future installments of She-Hulk, in whatever form that takes, more muscle mummy, please. Thank
Yeah,
you.
well, I mean, they can buff her up without it
Yeah,
being like a problem because we've seen
I,
Hulk
I,
in
I would,
different like
yeah,
buff stages.
I would be okay with her being 6'7"
She's
and like,
yoked.
yeah, but she needs to look like a bodybuilder. That's what
I
the inspiration of. Like, I
mm,
can't remember who was the original inspiration. Original inspiration for She-Hulk design. Um,
I wonder if they're like they could if they want to like move it in that direction. Like they can just play it off as like the more she is as She Hulk and like builds up her strength and as Hulk and
yeah,
like
I can't
figures it
remember.
out.
There was a really famous female bodybuilder
I don't know.
that they like used as like a reference because obviously the poses. A lot of the poses on the cover of She-Hulk comics
Mm-hmm.
are like bodybuilder poses, and that they used as references. It's just one of them little things that again for a lot of people they won't bother them in the
Yeah,
slightest. It's just one of them things I wish they'd been a bit more true to the character.
I get you.
Um.
There's chance
Anyway,
for them to save that.